Hey, what's up, you guys?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Don't Get Married with,
Kina,
and your favorite Cisco
he's not your
Kid.
favorite.
This is episode number 2, and I'm super excited for this episode, like extremely excited. I think I was more excited the last time, but this time I'm a little bit more excited. This is our second trial of this episode. Because we had some technical difficulties the last time we tried shooting this particular episode. It was amazing. We created some magic on that episode, but then the computer crashed and we weren't able to recover the sounds, and it was a mess.
Imagine if it happens again, dude.
If it happens again, if this happens
It's
again,
not meant to be.
I'm not doing this no more. Like I would sell everything in this freaking room.
No, it's not meant to be. They don't.
This episode?
I'm not. Yeah.
No,
This
but I just-
episode's not supposed to come to light. That's what it is.
You think so?
It's raw.
We were talking about your dad. We were talking
It's
about your
raw,
mom. We
dude.
were talking about your sisters.
It's probably
like
for my safety.
it's probably for you. God probably was like, "Look, Sakina, if this airs out, your family's not gonna like you." But we're still gonna try it again and see what happens, right? So anyway, like we said, we tried doing this episode last time, but we had technical difficulties. But to get back on track, I am so excited for this episode because when we were trying to put together the episodes and trying to make a list of like what can we talk, what can we discuss, what can we make a whole show about, it kind of hit me like we've never really digged deep into your life, my wife's life. Like I've done podcasts in the past, right? A few podcasts where I talk about my background, my life, my upbringing. I think sometimes even on TikTok, I think I'm the one that's
I think in general, you're just the one that's in the limelight, in other words. And I'm just like, a shadow in the background. So there's like.
but the boat doesn't run without you.
No, it doesn't, but I'm still a shadow.
Yeah,
like
like
I don't
you're-
like to be on the
you're
camera.
behind the
I
camera.
don't like to be interviewed. I don't like attention like that.
Right.
So
we thought like, you know what if we made this episode about you?
Yeah.
Like we have followers that are constantly always like, wait, I thought she was white.
yeah,
Wait,
everyone's confused as to what the hell I am.
I mean, right? Like people just don't really like. Wait, I thought she was white. Well, she looks Mexican. Like, didn't he say he was white? Why is she Muslim? There's a lot of questions that you guys might have about my wife. Obviously, you guys see us on TikTok and you guys hear her
There's
voice.
a
You
lot
guys
to
see her.
reveal behind me, behind
Yeah.
the voice of Kina, and my actual name is Sakina. It's
Sakina.
not Kina.
Or Tina. A lot
No,
of people
it's not
say
Tina.
Tina.
It's Sakina.
So who is Sakina? How you look? So this episode, baby girl, you tell us as much as you want to tell us. You tell us as little as you want to tell us. You go as far as you want to go. So I guess to kind of start the episode, like, who is Sakina?
So first of all, a nice little fact about me is like, since I've become a mom, I'm so bad with my phone.
Yeah.
I used to be really good like in tech, and now I don't know how to do anything on my phone.
Yeah.
One, and I'm never even on my phone. Like I lose that shit like a
All day.
million times
I
a
hate
day.
it. I hate it. I hate
So
it.
for those of you who message me or text me or whatever the case is, I'm sorry, my phone's lost at this point. It's somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's one fact. Sakina.
So who's Sakina? How
is
how
Sakina?
old are you, Sakina? How about you? We start there. Who is Sakina
goodness.
Samara?
So I am 30 years old. I'm a mom of 2 and a beautiful wife.
You are that. That's for sure. Okay, so where were you born, Sakina? If you don't mind me
I was
asking.
born in Wichita, Kansas, to a Syrian father,
Okay.
which is Middle Eastern or Arab, you could say. And my mother was Caucasian. Her background is actually Native American Indian. And I think her mom was French, Irish, and Dutch. So Caucasian for short,
So
right?
that's where the white side of the family kind of comes
Yes.
in. Your dad's side,
Is
the Middle
Arab.
Eastern,
Yeah, Middle Eastern.
Arab side of the family. So you were born in Wichita, Kansas, right? And to a Middle Eastern father and a Caucasian mother. And any siblings? Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have. how many siblings do I have? Two brothers and two sisters. I had to
Right.
think about it for a second. I forgot.
Yeah.
Two brothers and two sisters. Yeah, so it was a wild childhood. My youngest brother's 9 years younger than me, so then the four of us were all like little rascals.
And you guys are pretty close apart. So like you guys grew up like in a household where like all you
Yeah,
guys were the same age, right?
within that gap, there's four of us.
Yeah. So if you don't mind me, like obviously our viewership for the most part is they're Latinos, right? Because a lot of the content that we make is Latino background, right? Like the Mexican with the white wife. So the majority of our viewers are Hispanic people, Latino people. Another chunk is, a mixed racial couple, right? That they can relate to the type of content that we do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For the viewers like that don't, don't know much about the Middle Eastern side, like how was it growing up, like in a household with, as a child, like how was your childhood growing up in a house with a Middle Eastern father, and a Caucasian mother
Oh, like a
in the
mixed race.
middle of Wichita, Kansas? Like how was that for you?
I mean, I struggled with identity crisis for a long time because I wasn't Arab enough to fit in with the Arabs. And we
Right.
were mostly raised around, I guess, like Arabs, except for my mom's side of the family. But I wasn't Arab enough because we didn't speak Arabic. And
Right.
most of the people that we hung out with did speak Arabic. So I wasn't Arab enough for them. And then I wasn't white enough to be on my mom's side of the family. They just
Yeah.
were like, so it was weird. And then even at school, I really didn't know how to identify myself, right? So I was raised Arab, but I am white as well. And I look white. So everyone was super confused when I said I was Arab. Um, so yeah, I think I just struggled with that a lot.
Right.
And then, like I said, I was raised Arab for the most part because my dad instilled that. And we took all of that culture and traditions from that side.
Right.
So I would say that I was mostly brought up Arab and Muslim. And then I was like Caucasian. We did celebrate like holidays and stuff with my
Yeah.
mom's side of the family. So we did have that in terms of like American culture, I guess.
Right, right, right. But so then in your household, you guys practice the Arab culture. Like you guys were Muslim, right? Like even your mom took
Yeah.
that upon. Like that's what the house was, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. My mom even covered for the longest time and wore hijab since I could remember. Um,
eh,
so yeah, we did take that a lot. My dad prayed, and we were in Sunday school, which is
yeah.
Islamic school on Sundays, and even the first couple years of my schooling was an Islamic school.
How did I mean, for those that don't know, and even me, like, is there a lot of like Middle Eastern people in Kansas? Like, I've heard of like Middle Eastern to obviously, the little that I know, like, if you were to ask me where are the most Middle Eastern people in the United States, like immigrants, right? Like, if you ask where the most Mexicans, I would say like immigrant Mexicans, LA, Texas, maybe. But if you ask me about Middle Easterns, I wouldn't even know where to tell you, right? Like, I wouldn't know where to start. Like, is there a lot of Middle Eastern?
I don't know if there's a lot. There's obviously a community of them because I mean,
How did your parents meet then?
my parents met at I think like a college event
'Cause
for Muslims.
Right.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like a college event for Muslims. My mom was actually hanging out with a friend that was Muslim at the time. Maharit was her name. She was like, we grew up with her. So my mom was already kind of interested in the religion.
Yeah.
So she went with her. Her
So she
friend
was kinda-
obviously invited her, and then she met my dad there. And then my assumption, which has been joked around in my family, is that my dad married my mom for papers because he came over here to the United States for school. So he had a school visa. He
Sounds
was
very
studying.
Mexican.
Yeah, he was studying. Obviously, they don't let, once you come over here, you don't want to go back, right? So
Right.
I think that was his plan. So he kind of hooked my mom and like
That
ended
sounds
up
very
marrying-
Mexican of him. Like
married her quickly after.
that sounds like what I did. you
Yeah, literally, that's what you did too.
No, joking. Okay, so that does. I mean, it does make sense because immigrant people, there is that there is that joke that always flows around, right? Like you get with an individual for papers, get yourself a girl that has papers so you could stay here. So obviously your dad wasn't born here. He comes
Yeah,
here for.
so I come from an immigrant father, second generation. So
And how was he? Like, meaning, like, okay, so
as a
then they meet, they obviously get married,
yeah, I think they were.
right?
I think again, my assumption because what I've heard. No, my parents won't ever tell me like factual information. It's just
Yeah.
all what I've heard from their family or my mom's family. I think my dad got her pregnant.
To hooker.
No, I think it would just happen by accident.
That don't sound like
And
no
then
accident.
to hook her, like especially in our religion, like back in the old days, if you got pregnant, you got married right after, right?
So in your religion, you could get somebody pregnant and there's no, like, it's not like a sin or anything
Well,
like
no,
that?
that's a sin in every religion, is it
Right.
not?
I
Like to
assume
have
so.
sex before marriage,
Right.
adultery.
I don't know, man. It sounds like he got her pregnant to hook her.
I
Because
don't know.
that's the easiest way to get somebody to agree to marry you, right? Like, if me and you are just dating, hey, I want to get married with you. It's like there's more thought into it. But if I get you pregnant intentionally, right? If I want papers, if I get you pregnant, I think that's an easier way to say, like, hey, well, you're pregnant. We should get married.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they won't ever
Oh,
admit it, obviously. But even
my theory sounds right though.
even the fact that my mom was pregnant isn't all hearsay. It's not facts. Like
It's there's no so
no,
there's no
there's no factual evidence for
who
my
knows how it
parents.
happened.
Yeah,
Only they know.
only they know. They only know their story. So, anyways, but it's funny the story of them actually getting married. My mom went to go convert to become Muslim, right? To Islam.
Okay.
That's what she was under the impression. But
What she was
obviously,
gonna
my
do.
dad's a foreigner. He didn't speak the best English. He just got here. He was 18 years old. My mom's 18 too.
Oh, they were young.
They were young. I think they got married by 19 or something like that. So he takes her to go convert,
Yeah.
and that's what she's under the impression. And then she leaves, apparently married. She was like, "What?"
But this is married through the religion,
Yes,
right?
this is married through, the obviously church, the mosque, the masjid.
Okay, so do you think that kept your mom? Like, obviously, your mom went to convert to become a Muslim person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you think, like, him telling her, like, hey, we're married also, do you think that had something to do with her sticking around? Has she
Well,
ever mentioned that? Because I mean, she's technically not legally married
she
in the United
wasn't
States. She
legally
could have
married.
she could have easily said, like, hell no, I'm
I
good.
wonder when they got legally married. That's a good question. I think it's because she was pregnant. That's why.
Yeah.
So I know she lost that baby. I don't know how or what happened,
Oh,
but she
really?
did. So yeah, yeah, that wasn't Miriam. But yeah, she just said she couldn't get rid of the guy. Like she literally said that.
Oh, so she
My
tried.
mom.
So she tried getting rid of this
She
fool.
said that he would just show up like at her house all the time.
That's how to do it, man. You gotta be persistent if you want somebody. If you want somebody, you have to be persistent. You know, the only time you're not persistent is behind closed doors in bed. That one, when they say no, it's a no, right?
Yeah.
But if you want someone, I mean, that kind of makes sense. So then, how was your childhood? Did they obviously get married? You know, foreigner and so on. This is in Wichita.
Yeah, this is still in
So
Wichita.
you guys are in Wichita. All your brothers, you guys all grew up. You guys were all born in Wichita, Kansas, or is there somebody born?
No, everyone was born in
Okay.
actually Wichita, Kansas. We
So how
moved.
was like those first? I'm so sorry for
You're
cutting
fine.
you off. How was those first like years of your life? Like now, I don't know. You're 4 now, 5, whatever it may be. All of you guys are born. How was that household? You know, 4 kids, almost the same age,
Yeah,
running around all over the place in
it
the middle
was
of Wichita.
it
Like
was crazy.
like
It
how
was
was that as far as like emotionally as a family? Was it a happy family, a sad family?
no. Well, first of all, it was freaking crazy with the household of having 4 kids, literally all back to back, not even a year apart. You know. So it was crazy just having those kids. And I just remember like we always got in freaking trouble. Every day it was like my dad was yelling at us or beating us or like we had to be quiet in the house type thing. So
Yeah.
that was rough as kids to be quiet. If we didn't clean up our playroom, like he would toss out all of our toys,
Damn.
which sucked. Yeah. And then, yeah, like I feel like my dad was there for papers. My mom got stuck, obviously. So it wasn't a happy household whatsoever. And my dad being a foreigner, I feel like a lot of foreigners were raised on abuse.
Right, 100%.
which was obviously instilled in him from a young age. So he didn't break that generational curse. And I feel like, I don't know, foreigners got it a lot worse than obviously we got it. Like they used to beat them in school, my dad said, like with the
Yeah.
ruler.
You, my dad says the same thing.
Like,
My parents say the same thing. Like the little
that's
that I know
crazy.
from like you and Arjun, like past generations, like it's very similar. Like yeah, the same thing, ruler. Like they would get hit with the ruler in the head and the hands
Yeah.
and everything.
So my dad comes from a really hard background already. He was like a stepchild too, so he got beat by his stepmom and just a
Oh
really bad childhood.
yeah,
So that was passed down, and it was. I don't think it's like your average abuse. It was more like they should have called someone, you
for
know,
what? For you guys?
for the abuse that was instilled on us. Yeah, it was not. It was
Oh
not just like, I feel like it wasn't an ass whooping here and there when you got in
no,
trouble.
right.
It was like, I don't know, he just came home from work and beat the shit out of us
For
sometimes.
no reason.
No reason. I
Like
remember one time I was like 4 or 5. We had a rail going down the staircase. It was like those old school metal railings
yeah,
to block, obviously, because you had a hallway and the staircase. So to block from
falling over.
falling over, you
Yeah,
had a
right,
railing right there. He tied me up to that railing and beat the shit out of me.
He tied
He
you
tied me up.
like with a rope.
Yes, I don't remember what. I just know I was tied there with my arms like this and beat the shit out of me.
What?
Yeah.
For no reason.
I don't, obviously,
You
just
probably
being
don't
a
remember,
kid,
but
just
being a
being
kid, you probably were
yeah.
just a kid. Did
Yeah.
something you weren't supposed
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
God damn.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't think you've ever told me that
I
much,
have
but
either. Or
so
he
it's
chased us around with knives at one point.
what the fuck?
So like that's when
Oh,
you
so
guys
he chased you with knives.
he chased us with the knife a
Oh
couple
yeah,
of times.
somebody should have called
You should have called.
DCFS.
I'm telling
What do you mean?
you.
What were you guys like chickens? And he was just what a.
I don't remember. I just know that he got home and there was people over. We had a pool at the time, so there's always like people over, like family or friends. I don't know that he was pissed about something and started chasing me. And I remember it was me and my mom with the knife, and then we ran to the neighbors and we called the cop because he had an actual like knife in his
Yeah.
hands. And I do remember he went to jail for that.
Oh my.
I do
God.
remember that, but that's all I remember from there. But yeah, and that's happened before, so that's why I say like he, you know, when you say you had the boogeyman to be scared of, I was scared of my dad.
Wow.
Like I
Right.
was scared
That's
that he
deep.
was gonna, yeah,
Cause I mean, and that was you're talking about you were 5, 6 right now. You
Yeah.
said, and he was displaying that, so that's
Yeah.
kind of how you grew up,
uh-huh.
and that's as far as you remember when you were in your early years like that. It was like that at 5, like it
That
wasn't
was
like.
the earlier years. Once we got older, it wasn't as bad.
But
I mean, it was still bad, but it wasn't. I don't
and
remember.
what did your mom like? Do you remember your mom trying to put a stop to, hey, don't hit them, or? I mean, was she scared of him? Obviously, like you have
Obviously,
this
I'm sure I know he whooped her ass too.
right.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go that
Yeah, I don't know. I
deep,
don't
but
remember I don't remember there's been times where she tried to stop it. I'm sure she did. Like that's your
right.
kid. You're gonna try to get in the way, but I'm sure she would get her ass beat too. You know?
So you grow up in this abusive environment, you know, in your early years, and like you mentioned, like the boogeyman was your dad. Obviously, you guys were afraid of your dad because it wasn't just you, right? I'm assuming he took that anger out on everybody else, right? Like it wasn't just you. So how was as you guys 5 or you guys 4, you guys at the time, like how was your childhood relationship with your siblings I mean I'm talking about those like those years like were you guys fighting a lot too? Because I mean, the reason I guess what I'm trying to say is like, you're in a household with abuse and physical abuse, you know, emotional abuse. He's displaying to you guys. Was the dysfunction also between you guys, like the
Yeah, I
kids?
feel like as kids we weren't like because that's just another friend
Yeah,
to play with. But as we got older, we even started fighting at school between us.
with you
Because
guys.
we were all in school around this, because we were around the same age. So there was
Yeah,
times where we were all in elementary or middle school or high school together at the same time.
right.
And yeah, it was abusive between all of us because that's what we
So this was
we're
public school, like in elementary,
yeah,
like it was
me
like
and
the
Smack got on a whole fist fight on the school bus once, dude. Like,
right,
and then too, like if anyone messed with us, we just resulted to fighting too. Like we would always fight other kids.
but that's what you guys
Yeah,
got saw
it
at
was
home.
bad. Yeah,
You guys sound bad. You guys
yeah.
sound like a bunch
We
of
were
fucking
pretty. I mean,
rugrats.
obviously, yeah, we were pretty bad kids. Not bad kids, but like we were rough kids for sure.
Right.
But yeah, so then as we got older, I feel like you know how normally with most kids, especially if you're back to back, I feel like I've always heard the saying it's the kids against their parents.
Right.
Right? You're supposed to be a team because you're brothers and sisters and you're supposed to hide things from your parents and you guys have
Yeah.
each other's back. It wasn't like that dynamic with me and my siblings. It was very much like we're all for each other. I was for them, but they were just for themselves,
Right.
it seems. So like any little thing that someone would do, say for instance, you went out with some girl that you weren't supposed to be seeing or you weren't supposed to go out that night.
Yeah.
I found out, I went to go snitch on you to my dad, and you got your ass beat, or we didn't get grounded, you just got your ass beat and your stuff taken away. Right? So it was very much like a lot of snitching going around.
Right. But I think like
Especially for me, because I feel like I was the youngest, so everyone babied me. I couldn't do anything. Like no one had my back whatsoever. I had everyone else's back though. Like my sister
Right.
would take me to go see her friends or whatever, and when she wasn't supposed to, and I kept my mouth shut about that. I never just like snitched on anyone, so I felt like I was always everyone's friend,
right.
but I had no friends in my family, in my siblings.
It sounds like they kind of, to some degree, used you because you were the small one. So
Yeah.
probably would say like, "Hey, I'm gonna go with Sakina here. You're the little one. You could take," and you probably wouldn't snitch because you obviously you these are your older siblings, so you want to be good with them. You want to be friends with them, etc. Whatever. So you will keep your mouth, kind of,
Yeah.
shut. But it also seems like the whole snitching. I mean, it's obvious. Like it just kind of sounds like they would do it because your dad was so abusive that it's like, let's. I don't want to get hit. Fuck, hit her. So it was just kind of like a lot of
And he
that.
didn't let us do much either. Like we had to as we got older, we could only hung out with like Arab Muslims
So he was very strict, obviously, on top of
as we
the
got older,
abusive.
because we were kids. Obviously, we did like things we weren't supposed to, and even more so because he didn't let us do much. Like we couldn't go hang out with friends on the weekends. It was always like you could only have like your friends at the house. That's it.
They could come over.
That's
but
it.
Did they have to be Muslim?
When we were younger, no. As we got older, like I would say, like when I was 15, yeah,
They had to be
they
Muslim.
had to be Arab Muslim at
If
that point.
not, they can't come over to the house.
No, he didn't even want us to have friends
That
that
weren't-
weren't Muslim at that point. Yeah, not Arab Muslim. Just say Muslim because
So-
no, it was just Muslim.
Right. So then, as you get older, I know you move. So at what point did you move from Kansas to Illinois?
I would say I was out of school, so that's why it gets. I don't remember. He also took us out of school.
What do you mean he took you out of school?
He just took us out of school. He felt school was a bad influence, and
Oh my God.
we were homeschooled. But
How
we
old
weren't.
were you here?
That's what I'm trying to figure out
don't
because I don't
remember-
remember because
But you were young.
I think it was before freshman year.
So this is middle school. Okay, so let's stay there. Middle school year. We went through the elementary phase.
Mm-hmm.
So middle school year, your dad decides to say school's not good for you. So he homeschooled you guys?
Yeah, we were supposed to be homeschooled, but we really didn't do anything. Like, you just kind of check in on the computer and.
So you guys
Yeah.
were enrolled in homeschool.
Yeah, we were, but we weren't.
Well, you weren't.
Yeah.
So now you guys are all at the house.
So it was actually Miriam's the one who put the ideal in my dad's mind because
I know you, Miriam.
I don't know what she got bullied for, or I think someone was trying to whoop her ass because she liked the girl's man. I don't even know what happened, but she dropped out initially in
Yeah.
high school because she's the oldest one, right?
Right.
She dropped out initially in high school and homeschooled the last year and then got her. No, she didn't homeschool. She dropped out and got her GED, right? So she knew that you could just. Initially, she tried homeschool. Okay, well, wait. I'm confusing it. So initially, she did try homeschool.
Yeah.
She dropped out, tried the homeschool route. She didn't finish the homeschool route, so she just went and got her GED.
Gotcha.
So she's the one who knew about the homeschooling, right?
Yeah.
Like my dad's a foreigner. He doesn't really know much about homeschool or any of that, right? So that's where he got the idea from.
Like we could homeschool.
Yes. So, and I think Miriam's, oh, I hated Miriam when she was younger. I love you now, Miriam. If you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'm airing your dirty laundry, but shit, I hated your ass.
The
Yeah.
oldest
So
one.
she's the one who kind of instilled that on my dad. Like, I don't know. She was just mean. So she kind of pushed for that too. So then my dad just kind of took us out of school.
So
It was
okay, so
before freshman year.
hold on, girl. You
on.
confusing the fuck out of me right
What?
now. So Miriam decides she wants to go to homeschool, but then she also drags all you guys.
So
To homeschool?
she was already, I'm sure she was already out of high school
Yeah.
at this point, and probably already got her GED because I'm a freshman in high school. What year are you? You're already graduated, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I think like senior. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So she's the same age as you. I think she
But
might
why
be
did
a year.
she? Okay, so I don't care about that. My
Oh.
point is like, why did she tell your dad, hey, put him in in homeschool? Like she's gone
She
about
was
her
like
business.
my dad's assistant.
Right.
She was like the
So
lieutenant.
you guys must have done something, and she just said, "Well,
we
fucking put
were
him in
being,
homeschool."
we were. I mean, we weren't being bad, but we were being fucking kids. I was hanging out with guys. My sister was hanging out with guys that we weren't supposed to. You know, like they didn't want us
Right.
to hang out with.
So Miriam basically said, "Hey, so they're doing all that. Put him in homeschool. Homeschool.
Yeah,
Remember, I
yeah.
was in homeschool. Put him in homeschool."
Yeah, literally. That's exactly how it happened. So then we go to homeschool, and then right before I start freshman year, we were good for the summer.
Yeah.
I think it was 8th grade. So he took me out 8th grade. So Maz freshman year, he took her out. I then started because we were good for the summer.
Yeah.
Like that was our reward to go to public school.
So then, like, okay, well,
So you can go to public school. So then I started maybe for 6 months,
in public school.
and then he took me out because we moved
Okay, that's where you moved from Kansas to.
to outside of Chicago, Rockford. No, it was, I don't remember exactly where, but something like that. But yeah, so, and then we just didn't go to school.
What do you mean?
We
you didn't
weren't
go to
even
school?
enrolled in homeschool at that point.
When you got to Chicago.
Yeah, I wasn't.
So you guys pack up your stuff, sell everything over in Kansas. You guys move
Mm-hmm.
to Illinois. I mean, she's getting a little stuck. So her father's a aerospace kind of engineer. She did something with airplanes. Who knows,
Okay,
right?
so the market crashed before in 09.
Yeah.
09.
It doesn't matter.
09, 08, the market crashed. My dad's a systems engineer. Wichita, Kansas is actually known for their aircraft companies. It's actually, I feel like the capital for the aircraft companies. Anyway, so a whole bunch of people lost their jobs. He got a job outside of Chicago. It was McKinley, Illinois,
Yeah.
to be exact. And so we packed up and moved. Didn't know anyone there, had no family. So that's how we got about of moving to Illinois. And then we kind of just jumped around from city to city because of his job.
Right.
So that's how we get to Illinois. And then at that point, I'm not in school. I have no friends. I'm 15?
So this fool just moves over there, goes to work. You guys figure it out. Who knows what? He doesn't enroll. Your mom or your dad don't enroll you guys in school.
No. My dad's thought process was like, oh, we'll just get our GED like Miriam did, but I'm still too young. I'm only a freshman.
Bro, like, you know what?
know what I
Like,
mean?
let me stop you there. It just kind of sounds like your childhood was just all over the place.
It
Like, it
was.
doesn't even sound like you had a childhood. Like, you're in school, you're not in school, you know, there's abuse, physical, emotional. And then the next thing you know, you guys are moving. So the little friends that you did have,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
back over there. So you get to Illinois, wherever, somewhere out there, to this new city. Forget going to school and starting relationships. We'll just figure it out later, and
Yeah.
we'll get your GED.
Yep, literally.
Like,
So we were just
damn.
all sitting at home, bored as shit.
For how long did you guys do that for?
For a couple years.
Oh my god!
For a couple years,
and
and
no
then,
one came knocking at the door. Like, hey, those kids need to be in school.
well, granted, we just moved.
So no one knows if you guys.
You're underage, so you don't have to register these people. Like,
I don't know, but
you just move. You don't have,
Right.
You're not like registered at the state. I don't have an ID or anything. You know what I mean? So no
Right.
one's gonna know.
so 9, 10, you're just sitting around.
Not 10. I'm 15. I
No,
think.
I'm talking about 9th, 10th grade.
Oh
You
yeah,
just
ninth.
sitting.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not
yeah,
even
yeah.
in school.
I'm not doing nothing. I don't remember doing anything.
What were you? Just sit at home, literally.
Literally, I'm trying to think. I
Oh
would
my!
read a lot. I remember.
Well, I
I
remember.
would read a lot. I didn't do much, dude. It was fucking boring as shit. Anyways, so then I finally enrolled to the community college. At this point, we're in Rockford. It was called Rockford Community
So you
College.
never went to a high school over there? It
No,
doesn't sound like.
uh-uh. I don't even know what a high school looks like, bro. I've never even been.
That's there she goes. There you go. When she laughs, she snores. Oh my goodness gracious, bro! It
Yeah, my
sounds
life
like
was
a
fun. It
mess.
was a mess.
So you say, okay, well, you know what? I'm tired of being at home sitting around. Let me go enroll myself.
Yeah, because I knew I was pretty book smart for the most part. I sucked
Yeah.
at math, but I was pretty good at like everything else. And I sucked at math because of my dad. Oh, I forgot to mention, dude, growing up fucking sucked because anything that we got wrong, I feel like that's a foreigner thing. In school, that's why they would beat them if they got the freaking answers wrong.
Yeah.
So that was heavily passed down by my father to us because any little answer, if I got anything wrong, one answer wrong, it was like I got beaten.
You got wow.
Even like when he would show me certain answers and I got the answer wrong, like he's practicing like homework with me,
Yeah.
I got that shit wrong, and him explaining math because he's an engineer, a fucking easy multiplication,
Yeah.
what is it? Equation, a simple equation that I had for homework, it was like 2 pages long for the explanation from him.
Yeah.
So how the hell, like, you lost me? You know
so,
what I mean?
So he would explain it in a complicated way.
It was so complicated to the point where I was cheating with homework with him
because you didn't want to get
because I
hit.
didn't want to get my ass beat. So one time
God
he
damn.
found it on my hand. I remember it was this hand, dude. I ran downstairs so quick. To not to get my ass beat, and I still got my ass beat, but I just remember that's why I struggled so hard in math, because it was so hard to understand him. And then so I just started to cheat.
He found you cheating.
He found me cheating. He caught me cheating.
But you were just cheating as a survival.
Yeah.
Like it was just a survival tool for you.
Yeah, because it was so hard with him.
How
dude.
did like now that you're older and like man, like it because it just really sounds like he was abusive and I don't know. He just it's shady, right? Like to each his own. Like he probably didn't know any better. Maybe he did, but like, how does that make you feel now when you reflect on like your childhood and all that trauma that was like instilled by this guy?
I mean, it sucks, especially now that you have kids. It's like I could never hurt my kids
Right.
to that extent. I'll slap their hands, maybe a little on the butt, but to physically beat them, especially over a
Yeah.
wrong answer or like just because you're mad because they're being kids, like that's
Yeah.
crazy to me. That's crazy. I could never. I love my kids too much, you know?
So you just kind of don't like
I don't understand it whatsoever. I don't even care if it was instilled on you because it was obviously instilled on me.
yeah.
It didn't freaking make me want to hit my kids. It made me want to do the opposite because I'm not going to hurt someone I freaking love. But at this point, we know like my dad's messed up in the head. So that's
you
the only thing that
forgave
I don't care for him. It is what it is. Like I understand that it was his upbringing.
Yeah.
So I understand it
Right.
to that extent. He also has mental issues. So I could say that. I don't know. I can't understand it fully.
Like to right because
But
I mean I
it
feel
is what it is. It's,
right because I guess just the reason why I say that like the forgiveness and the whole nine because I know like I grew up in a household with a foreign father and you know he was strict. He wasn't as abusive obviously to the extent that your father was. And I mean, I obviously saw him, you know, physically hurt my mom, and they eventually split. And there was a period of time where I didn't get along with my father, and I hated him. You know, I felt like I hated him, and we didn't really talk. But there was a point where, like, me and him were able to talk as I got older. And
Mm-hmm.
like now I could sit here and tell you because of that, it's like I feel like I've grown to forgive him. You know, like we've never had a talk where I've said like I forgive you, Dad. I don't think we've ever got to that point.
Did you forgive him or you just forget about it? Is the question
I
because
think
I think that's more like I
right. I think to me, well, I guess yeah, I get what you're saying. Like to me, it is like I feel like I do forgive him because I mean I'm not in your shoes. Had I been in your shoes and gone through what you went through, I don't know if I would be sitting here saying like I forgive you, right? Because like I I guess from my perspective, it's like I grew to understand how his parents were abusive, so they passed that to him. He displayed that with us, and I don't know. I guess like I reflect back as to like I didn't have a bad childhood. Like there were moments that were bad because of him, but I do see how much he also did for us, right? And how we were at the forefront of, you know, him going to work, making sure that, we were good, that, I don't know. So I
I
guess
get that, but that's also a parent's job. So that's why
true,
I don't sit there and think like, oh,
true.
they did all this for yeah, they crossed the border. My dad came over here with nothing in his hand either. Like I understand that, but that was also a survival instinct for them. You get
Right,
me? Like
right.
they
No, I
had
hear that.
kids that was so that's where I just as a parent you have to. Me is if you want to ask me if I forgive, I don't know if I forgive, but it's not something that I ponder on. It's not like
Yeah.
I think about it often unless I'm speaking about it. So it's not something like a grudge that I'm holding on to. It's not holding space in my life. It is what it is.
Right.
It's not forgivable because it's fucked up. I don't know how you could do that to your child, to be honest with you. So that's where
Right,
I'm like,
right.
it's not forgivable, especially now that I have kids. Like I could never, dude.
I mean, it does sound rough. Like I can't even justify that. Like I try to justify my father's actions as well, like what he did to us, or him leaving for months at a time and or years at a time, and I wouldn't see him.
Yeah.
Like I just think like I can't just leave to Mexico for a year and not see my children. Like as now that I'm a father, I can't. There's just no fucking way that I would
Mm-hmm.
do that. So and that's how he did it, right? That's
Yeah.
how he was. Like obviously there was a period of time where he became selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't out of high school and he was long gone. I
Yeah.
get it. Him and my mom, they probably weren't in the best, terms, but you still have children that I mean, I'm still in high school. You still have my little sister. She's in middle school, maybe elementary. How do you leave your kids, right? So I don't know. It's like maybe because it wasn't the abuse or what we went through wasn't to your level where I'm able to say like I have a great relationship with him now. Obviously, you know that, right? So I don't know. Like to me, I just like to say like yeah, I forgive him for whatever he did. Like now that he's more
I think your dad's also grown to be a better person.
that too.
I don't think my dad has,
Right,
so you can't.
right, right, and that's true. That is true, and what she means by that is that my dad did to some degree change. Like he changed as a person. Um, he's more vocal. He's just a different person. So I
Yeah.
think that did allow me to,
My dad, if you ask him till this day, he swears up and down he was the best father in the
yeah, like
world. And
he's unable to admit what
he's
he
yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah.
Do you think like if I was to ask him, hey, did you ever hit your kids or to an abusive extent?
No, the other day my brother was telling me that he was visiting and he said he had mentioned something about like, oh, like jokingly, like, well, you whipped my ass. My dad got all serious, like, I never hit you. I
Wow.
never hit you like a day in my life. And granted, my brother like got the worst of it because he was a boy.
Yeah.
Like he ended up in the hospital a couple times for my dad.
Jesus
So
Christ,
it was
bro.
bad. So
That
for
is
him to say it to my
wild.
brother and not
Yeah.
remembering like that is like pretty
Do
crazy.
you believe that he really doesn't
I don't know. I don't know if he's so
out of it at this point?
I don't know. Because obviously he's like mentally, he has like bipolar and obviously other shit for sure. But
Yeah.
so I don't know if that's the reason why or if he's just so in denial that you just pushed all that down. Because he's now with, he's currently with another woman. and a new family. So I don't know if maybe he just blocked that other us
Somehow,
out.
there's
So
just
I don't know how
there's
you
just
don't
no
remember that,
way.
or
So
he's just so in denial. It's weird.
there's just no way. So like now, okay, so let me just I know we kind of got out of the topic because we got into something else, but you're in high school now, you go and now you're almost an adult. You're in your high school years. How you enroll into college and
Yeah, I think by 16 or 17, I started school. And I got heavily into religion at this point because I wasn't doing anything. So I was reading a lot. Um, and we were going to the Mesjid a lot as well because we weren't doing anything. So every Friday, every prayer, we were there at the Mesjid. So I got heavily into that. Started to enroll in school. At this point, I'm wearing hijab too, even. um, I think it was more, it was for myself, but it was also to please my dad because he's taken so much shit away from us. I just felt like if I wear hijab, he'll start like loosening the reins. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
right, right,
So I think that did have, now that I think about it, it did have like a factor in me wearing hijab, which is the cover, the scarf, right?
right. Did it help with what you thought was gonna
No,
happen?
no, no, no. I still only could hang out with Arabs and Muslims. So I mean, that was it.
So you go into
Or
deep into
Muslims.
your religion.
Yeah.
You go into wearing
And
a
it was,
hijab, and you
yeah.
thought he would change because you thought maybe if he sees that I'm going down the religion route, he'll be more
Yeah.
receptive and acceptive of like
Just in
other
general, I
people,
thought it,
trust me, and so on.
yeah. And I thought like us just being around the religion, because obviously he was doing things wrong, right? I thought it would change my family dynamic as well, having us more like centered in faith and just happier and like
Yeah,
better people. But it kind of was really freaking toxic to try to be religious in that household because it was just so hypocritical. Because my dad would try to use religion, but he twisted it and turned it into what he took of it
yeah.
and like used it as a weapon against us a lot of the time. So it was just really hard to try to be religious because you know what he's doing or saying is not the correct way of doing things, right?
So you're learning about the religion,
Yeah, at
and
that
now it's like,
point,
wait, that's not what I learned.
yeah,
What you're saying is a
exactly.
lie. Like you're
And
just
yeah, I can't tell my dad that.
right.
I'm not gonna tell my dad
So he
that.
was using the religion to say you have to do it this way,
Yes.
but you're already old enough to understand, like, no, that's not what that said. What? Okay.
Exactly. So it was really hard and really toxic. And obviously me just being religious at that point, you don't really want to pour or force people to do certain things. You just want to make them be better, right? And that's
Right.
what I kept trying to be. I'm like to my siblings, right?
Right.
Because I'm all in faith and they're not into it. They're just kind of doing their own thing, just sitting at home. And I'm learning Arabic. I'm learning how to read the Quran at this point. So I'm really in it. So then it was hard after 9/11. A lot of people freaking have this perception, which has been like,
Right. I remember that.
twisted and turned
Like all
into
Arabics are
all Arabs
terrorists.
and Muslims are terrorists. So that was really hard to be hijabi. And I got bullied for it by like grown men. And I'm like
Wow.
15, 16. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was just
You're
hard.
just minding your business.
Yeah.
Did that make you take it off?
Yeah. So along with all the other stuff I mentioned, that was like a huge factor in why I took it off because it didn't seem, it was perceived well whatsoever, you know? So it was very hard to be like, period. I'm sure it's hard to be a covered woman, right?
Yeah.
Because it just is. We have a lot of people will sit there and say like hijab is for the oppressed people, it's for an oppressed woman, but I think it's more people that are scared that we're in power and we choose to cover ourselves and our body from you so that you're going to say we're oppressed. And that's what, head covering is to keep, from men looking at you a certain way, in a lustful way, right? You're protecting your body and your temple,
Yeah, right.
so you get to share that with who you want to, which is your husband, right? So yeah, that was hard. So that was the reason why I took off my hijab. I'm like 17, still going to school, at this point. And I start talking to some guys that at this point I'm thinking about marriage. Because I'm thinking that's the only way that I'll get to ever leave this house, right? Is to get
Gotcha.
married. So at this point I'm thinking about marriage. So I'm talking to people and I'm talking to mostly Muslims, right? Because that's who I plan to marry. And it was more just to kind of get out.
Yeah.
It wasn't for the intent of like, oh, I want to get married, I want to fall in love. No, it was just to kind of get out of that space. So,
So you're just trying to find a way to get out of there.
yeah.
And if like that's the way, that's the way.
Yeah. So I'm talking to a couple people. One was actually my brother's friend who they found out, my dad and my brother. And it was kind of a whole deal. Not
You
really.
started dating your brother's friend?
No, we were just talking for the fact of marriage. And
Well,
I don't think if my dad found out, but my brother found out. And it was his really good friend at the time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like how my brother found out. And I think it was from my little brother. Because I had no one to talk to. So I told my little brother because my fucking older siblings were assholes. And anything I did, it was like they would go through my phone and then tell my dad and I got my ass beat. Like, although I'm opening the window for you to sneak out. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? And like anything. So I'm telling my little brother because I'm like, I got to talk to someone. So I tell my brother that I'm talking to so-and-so. And
That I'm talking to my older brother's friend and we're thinking of getting married.
no. Just say that I talked to him. And then he went to go tell my brother. And my brother found out. And then he got mad. He didn't take it to my dad because he knew that my dad would have gotten mad at him. Because you brought X around, you know.
Right.
So he didn't bring it to my dad. But anyways, at that point, I'm like, okay, so then I can't even talk to a Muslim guy? Like,
Yeah.
so I can't do nothing. So at this point, I'm kind of getting rebellious. And
Right.
And I'm getting antsy because I'm not doing much but going to school. I did have a job at the time too, but still I'm not really hanging out with people. I'm not doing things, you know, like a normal 17 or 18-year-old does. They're out with their friends. So, and at this point, I already took off the hijab.
Don't have a great relationship with your siblings.
No, I hate them. Okay, so, oh yeah, I remember now. My parents leave. Okay, so my dad's contract is about to end. We're currently in Rockford. His contract is about to end at work, so he's looking for a new job in Virginia. I'm in school. I was going for nursing and I'm doing really freaking well. So I was supposed to stay. The one that was supposed to go was Samad, my other sister. She wasn't really in school. She had a job at like Starbucks or something. She wasn't really doing much. And my older sister was already in Chicago, in school. She wasn't going to stay. So it was literally just going to be my dad and a year older sister than me. She was going to go. And everyone else was going to stay back.
Yeah.
So he was going to stay in an apartment. They would come visit every so often. So my dad and my mom went to go check it out and get like an apartment set up, or I don't even know what. I'm already talking to you at this point.
So you go into this rebellious stage.
I'm talking to.
So you started talking to me
I
because
did
you were
start
trying to
talking
get
to
out the house.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. She used me. I'm finding as we're going like, and she's telling the story. I'm sitting here like, man, hold on, man. It sounds like you just threw a fish hook out there.
I don't know if it was that. I think it was just more with me. It was more to pass time, to talk to people. You get me? Because I wasn't doing anything else.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here like you just start storming through this story somehow, and you're all talking about Virginia. I'm like, we were over here talking about X's and O's, and now you're somehow talking about Virginia and your siblings.
But what else am I gonna say? I gotta skip some stuff. I'm not gonna go into everything. Me and you start talking, and it's more so because I'm just bored at the moment, and I'm just past. It is.
So you started talking to me because you were bored.
At the moment, yeah.
Okay.
Why'd you start talking to me?
Because you hit me up.
Okay, so
You send me a message.
Why'd you start talking to me though?
Well, because I see the picture like, oh, this girl's hot. She's hitting me up. Not because I was bored. I was minding my own business in my own life. You came into my life. You sent me a message talking about you want to get married with me. Now it's all making sense to me as we're having this conversation. As you're going through this whole conversation, now I know. At that time, I'm like, oh, that's cute. She wants to get married with me. But now that you're saying what you're saying, it's like, bro, it looked like you were just trying to get married and
I'm
get the
trying to
hell
get a
out the
meal
house.
ticket, dude. Honestly, no, that wasn't my intent. It was literally just to
That's how what
pass
it
some
sounds
time.
like right now.
I was. I had no intent of like. It was just to pass time. Really, it was. And you were
Okay.
cute, so I shot you. I shot him a message, guys. I said, to be exact, I'm going to take your ass to Vegas and marry you.
That's exactly what that message did say. And I just responded because a girl sends me a message.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you're saying what you're saying, it's like, it sounds like you was trying to get out the house, and I
No,
understand
but
why.
at that time, how many people were you talking to just to pass time or just because you was a
I
little...
was single. Of course, I
Okay.
was talking to people.
Okay, so and what do you do it for? Either the interest, pastime. Sometimes you just hit people up because you're bored.
Yeah.
So like, don't look at me like
So
I'm
this
like
is when you
so
talk
raw.
when you send me a message. You're I think you're already 18, so you're already in you're in community college doing whatever you're doing because you. I wasn't talking to you when you were underage, to get that clear. But so you're talking to me as you're getting, as you're now a young adult. Your dad is talking about
Yeah, I
leaving to
still didn't get my
Virginia.
GED. I just started college. I didn't need my GED. I just took the entrance like test
Yeah.
to get into college level courses. My dad was holding the GED on us, like against us as
Yeah.
a weapon, because he knew like if they had their GED, you could go elsewhere. I don't freaking know why, but he was very controlling.
Yeah.
So he never let me get the GED, and I was pushing for it when we started talking. Because you obviously pay money for the GED. It's not a
Right,
free
right, right.
course.
Okay.
So we start talking after that interaction that I shot you a message. And we're talking for like 5-6 months. And we actually plan on seeing each other
Yeah.
finally because we did the whole long distance thing for months. And back to what I was saying is that my parents were actually in Virginia at that moment, right?
And that's when we were planning to see each
that's
other.
when we were planning on seeing each other because this is the first time my parents ever been out of town together, like ever. They never left us.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to play back. They were there for about a week, and then I went to visit my sister in Chicago, and I stayed there for a couple days with her. And at this time, my brother was actually married to my old best friend. She moves in Rockford
Yeah.
from Kansas, my old best friend, because they started a thing, right? And then she moves in. So it's my brother, my sister-in-law, and my sister at the house, and my little brother. They're there for a couple days, and they actually have a party or some shit while I'm in Chicago. And mind you, they do a lot of shit, and they get away with it.
Yeah.
And I never say anything, and I knew, right? They've done so much. But anytime they know anything about me, they're quick to tell someone. This is rolling into the conversation of what I want to say. So anyways, they have this party. I find out. I come back from Chicago. My sister stays there. And I'm like the mom of the house. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm taking my little brother to school. So I'm buttering everyone up, but I do that normally anyways. And we had the plans to go to Vegas. So I tell Samantha, which is the one that I'm kind of cool with everyone, but I just assumed that she was going to be cool, right?
Yeah.
I tell her and I hold on to the party and I said, this is my plan. I'm going to go meet him in Vegas. I've been talking to him. X, Y, and
I
Z.
could have told
If you don't let me go, I'm going to tell our parents about the party. So it works for a second.
That sounds like a bad
It works
idea.
for a second. As the days get closer, what the plan was is that I was going to babysit. Because I did.
Yeah.
I babysat on the weekends for certain people while they were out of town for family, friends, X, Y, and Z. And I stood the night at their place.
Yeah.
So it was a great plan.
Right.
So
Initially, it
it was a
sounded
great
like.
plan, right? And then my sister tells my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law tells my brother.
Oh, damn.
And I remember I was sleeping at the time.
Oh
It
man.
was like either early in the morning or late at night. My brother comes and like starts whooping my fucking ass and grabs my phone and sees obviously that I'm talking to you and found out that I was trying to leave with you. So then they tell my dad.
Ooh.
They take my phone away. I'm like stuck in my room for weeks until we moved to Virginia.
Yeah,
I think it was like a week or two.
I remember
A
that
week or
time.
two. So I'm just sitting in my room for a week or two. I got my ass beat by my dad, my brother again, my dad. Like it was just it
It's
was a
crazy.
mess. I
And
had
you're
no
an
phone.
adult at this point.
I
You're
had to
18 years old.
I'm
Like,
18. I had to quit my job, quit schooling. I just started the fucking semester, I remember.
so that decision
So,
really made everything in your life collapse that you
yes.
had going. The little that you had going, them finding out, you telling your sister, that right there made your whole
Yeah.
life change,
Yeah.
right?
So then they decide I go to Virginia now with my dad.
Because they're like, this
Well,
girl's
I'm not in
thinking,
school anymore, so it makes
Yeah.
sense. So I'm just sitting in Virginia. Before we moved to Virginia, I had a little Motorola PCS phone or some shit. And I called you and you somehow connected it. I don't know how we did it, but we figured it out. So days before we go to Virginia, we did that. So I'm texting
So
you.
can you imagine? We've never met in person. Everything is FaceTime, Zoom, whatever, Skype, whatever it was.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
finding out about all this in real time. Like my family found out, so she never really gets to Vegas. My family found out about you. I know what I. At this point, she's not necessarily telling me what she's going through, because you might say like, well, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you get involved? Obviously, she wasn't telling me to the extent
I don't even
that
think I've told you to the extent
I
until
think it's like they
now.
just found out, they just found
No,
out.
what I'm saying is I don't even think you know to the extent till now, like
Right.
what I've endured in my
What
life with them. So
right.
that's
So
why.
it's like we're at that point and now I'm finding out you're moving to Virginia. So we've never seen each other in person. We've never met. Everything has been on the phone. They take her phone away. So even like from my perspective, it's like, dude, like this isn't gonna work. Like we're 6 months in, at this point, I feel like I love you, but I'm really telling myself like, how is this gonna work? Like I can't see you, I can't do anything. I tried talking to her dad at one
Oh yeah,
point.
that's when we got to get into that. That's when I moved to Virginia.
So then she's moving to Virginia. So I do connect the phone. She finds the phone. That's what you were saying right
Yeah,
now. You
that's what I
find
was
the
gonna get
phone.
into.
I connect
But
it.
mind you, I know some of you guys know our like background story. We used to wake up on FaceTime and go to sleep on FaceTime. We talk like all day, every day. So
Yeah.
that's how like long like it was a long distance thing, but we knew each other because we fucking talked every single day, all day long, right?
We're doing some weirdo stuff. Like I would put my laptop in my bed, and she would put like her phone or whatever, her laptop, and we would go to sleep, and then we would wake up, like looking at a screen.
Literally.
It did feel
It was
weird at one
Skype.
point.
Yeah. Um
But
so
you're moving
we
to
we
Virginia.
think we love each other at this point.
Yes, we definitely think we love each other.
So I'm moving to Virginia. I remember texting you on the way over there. We drive over there. So it took about a day or so. And we get there and I'm not doing much. Samantha finds a job there. I'm just like the homemaker. So I'm going to the grocery store, cooking, cleaning, doing that stuff for my sister and my dad.
Right.
And then I think it was only about a month. I would say about
Yeah,
a
because we
month.
weren't really talking, but it might have even been soon earlier than that, because I remember it was fast. Like you get to Virginia,
Within
and
a
it was
couple
just
weeks.
within like that week or so. No,
No,
it
it
must have
wasn't.
It must have been the first week,
It wasn't
babe.
the first week. It had to have been like two, because Samara already had a job, and she
Right.
was like, it had to have been like 2-3 weeks, and then my dad finds the phone
Yeah.
and sees me texting you.
Again, after you got your ass whooped.
So then I get my ass whooped again. And they take the phone away, and then I somehow call you. I think the next day or the day after, and I'm like, listen. This is probably not going to work, but this is like our Hail Mary. Let's see if this works.
Ooh, I
And then
love that football reference.
From that point, let's see what happens. We're talking. That's how I saw it. Like you're literally in California. I'm in Virginia. We're like
Edge to edge, bro.
literally like, what is the big deal? We're just
Yeah.
talking. If it's supervised, okay, maybe they want to just supervise it. I'm
Right.
thinking my dad wants to supervise it. So I'm like, can you call my dad and just ask to speak to me?
Yeah.
Let's just talk.
That was her idea.
It's probably going to fizzle out, but let it be. Like, from my parents, from my dad's perspective, just let it be. We'll
Right.
probably like not even meet each other and never do this again. Like, so that's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking he's just going to do it because I'm giving him such a hard time about it, right? Yeah, so you call.
I called him. I'm working at a school at the time. I'm in an after school program. I give the guy a call. I go through the game plan. Hey, look, I'm just trying to be her friend. This is what I do for a living. I go to school. I have a job. I just want to be her friend. That's it. It was nothing like I want to marry her. I want her to be my girlfriend. Please, nothing like that. But anyways, basically, to make that long story short, he was like, nope, she's getting married in the summer. And clearly she wasn't. It was all a lie. He just didn't want me to talk to her. It was like, it's not going to happen, right? So I think at that point, that's really when we came to,
Well, he told me something else too.
yeah, I
So
think like
that's
he
why
told
he
you
told
one
me one
thing.
thing and told you another
Yeah,
thing.
because I remember
So
when we did talk after, it's like, dude, he said you're getting married in the
yeah,
summer.
and then he told me that you were not interested any longer, or I don't know
I
what.
don't know.
Regardless of what. So at that point, like, I'm just fed up. I'm done.
Right.
Like, at what point am I going to kind of have some control over my life? At what
Right.
point? Like, I took me out of school multiple times. You've made me fire my job multiple times. I can't talk to any guys,
Right.
Muslim or not. Like, at what point am I going to live my life the way I want to? Right. So obviously, I think I'm in love. Obviously, I was in love with
Right.
you. So I call you, I think the next day, and I was like, book me a flight. And mind you, I've told you numerous times, I'm never going to leave my family and
Yeah.
fly to you. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Right.
So this
And you
was
did say
not
that.
premeditated. This was just out of emotion and overwhelmed and like at my wit's end, right? So
Like he pushed you away.
yeah,
He
yeah, yeah.
pushed his daughter away based on how he was. Like however I see it, I could sit here and see it as like you use me. I could sit here and see it as like whatever it may be. Like he pushed you away because he didn't let you be you. He didn't give you a little freedom. You're an 18-year-old individual. Like you said, you can't talk to a Muslim person. You can't talk to a Hispanic person. Like at some point, like you're gonna be old enough to make your own decisions, and it does suck because you did say it multiple times. Like if we're gonna talk, like I don't want to leave my family. You know, like we'll figure it out. We'll do the long distance as long as we can. As we get older, we'll figure it out. Of course, we're young. We don't. It probably wouldn't have even worked out. Honestly, had he said, "Yeah, go ahead and talk," at some point, I probably would have been like, "Bro, you stupid fool! Like this ain't gonna work." Like
You
I'm
haven't
in
even seen the
college.
girl. You're
I've never
in
seen you. Where am I gonna get money
California.
to go visit you?
Yeah.
Like I don't have that kind of money. Like it made no sense. Had he done that and just gave you that,
Well, it would have fizzled out probably. Who
you
the hell
probably would
knows?
have been over there. But because he did it a whole different way, and the way he did it made you almost desperate to say, you know what, I don't want to be here. Like fuck this. Like
Which
buy me a ticket. To me, it came to a shock because I honestly at that point I was expecting like we were gonna like it was gonna stop.
Yeah.
I was already like, this isn't gonna work. It's too much work. The dad's not accepting me. Like they're not accepting me. She lives in Virginia. When the hell am I gonna go to Virginia? Where am I gonna get money to go to Virginia? So I'm already kind of like coming to the realization like this is gonna end.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was just a little fantasy. But then she tells me buy my flight ticket. You know, so now I'm living with my mom in South Central LA. Like you guys heard this story, and I won't even get into that story. But I'm just like, wait, how we go from trying to talk normally to buy my flight ticket.
Yeah.
I want to move to LA, and I live in like a 1 bedroom apartment, right, with a dog and my sister, no dad. Like it's just, but again, like she says, we thought we loved each other. So here I go and tell my mom, and my mom is obviously cool, and she basically says, "Yeah, go ahead." And I had a little financial aid money, so I buy your flight ticket. So in other words, it sounds like she ran away. Like you ran away at 18 years old, bro.
At 18, yeah.
So now that you
So
look back, like I think like we could go. I mean, if you want to further more, you know, because if you want to go deeper into it, you can. But we could leave this for another episode or whatnot. But you kind of told us a lot as far as like how we get to how it how you got to the point that you decided to say, I want to leave. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, like you could kind of put a little thumbnail there. Like, how do you feel now as you reflect back on, your childhood, your life, and just making that decision now that you're here? Like, were you scared? Like, right? Like, you're about to leave, like your whole
Oh
everything
yeah,
you know?
I was shaking, dude. I remember, like, especially because I had to wait at the airport for a couple hours. I could have sworn my dad was gonna come in there and like in the airport and just
I mean, that could be a whole other episode when we
no, I
talk
know. So
about
that's what
that
I'm saying.
day.
Like I could have sworn up and down I was
Yeah,
scared as shit to leave, and I didn't know what my actions were gonna cause. Right? I didn't know you. I trusted you because I saw you every day. Like we were
right.
on the phone every day,
Yeah,
right? So in that aspect, yeah, I was scared. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, right? Thank God it like ended or it's become this, right?
right. Because it could have
Um
gone so
it
many
could have
ways.
gone, I know. It could have gone. I got I guess lucky, you know what I mean? Like it was my time to catch a break. It
Yeah.
was my time to catch a break. Cuz I just remember as a child like I remember crying on the floor just thinking like is it ever going to get better? Cuz especially when you're such a young kid, like that's your whole world when you're such a young kid.
Yeah. You
Like you
made me
feel
cry,
like
full chip.
you
I'm
do.
sorry.
Okay. Like I just remember like yeah, when you're young, you just feel the whole world's on you. Obviously, it's not that, but it's just you don't know where to go, where to turn. So I just remember like thinking like that was going to be my life for the rest of my life. I was going to my dad was going to marry me off and I was just going to be unhappy for the longest time. And I kind of accepted it, you know?
Yeah.
So it did suck. It did suck. I know there's a stigma on Arab Muslims and how they treat, their daughters or their wives, and I don't think that's the norm now. So I know that's my experience that I had, and my experience was different from a lot of people. I know my friends didn't have the same experience as me, so I will say that that isn't a stigma for Muslims that they have this perception of. But yeah, it was a really rough childhood, and I don't wish that on anyone. And I just try to. I would say for people that are in any like abuse
And that's what I was gonna say. Like,
situation,
what
just
will you tell like a young girl that is probably going through it right now, through something that whether it's the abusive household, whether it's with
abusive
everything you
relationship.
described right now, like what would you tell that young girl right now as we approach the ending of this?
Just anything like any abusive relationship where someone's controlling you. It's like that's that's not your life, and you should not make that your life. You're worth more. You shouldn't withstand abuse, whether it's from your father, whether it's from your boyfriend, whether it's from your girlfriend. Like, it's just not right, right? Like, and the days will get better.
Yeah.
If not, I've heard this phrase before. It says, if not now, then when? You
Right.
know? So, like, you got to start today, and you're going to look back and you're going to just say, like, damn, that was rough.
Do
You're going
you
to get to that
feel
point.
do you feel like as you now look at your overall life and obviously you didn't do it, do you feel like you should have looked for help or asked for help from an adult, whether like at school, at college, like you know what I mean? Like I'm sure at some point you were old enough to understand, like, dude, I'm getting abused. This isn't okay. But you never, unless I don't know, like you never went out and reached out. Like you never told your teacher, hey, they're hitting me.
Yeah,
My
no, no, no.
parent is
There's been
hitting
a
me.
couple times where there was like, and I prayed that they would find out too sometimes, because as you're a kid, you just want to be, you don't want to be in that environment. You don't know the repercussions that are going to happen, to
Yeah.
your family. Um, but I remember once or twice there was an officer that asked us about some like bruises or marks, and I just fucking prayed that they would look further into it, but they never fucking did.
Did you tell them that yes, they were from
No,
your
of
dad?
course we weren't. We weren't gonna do that.
Right. So you didn't
So
do it.
we
So do
didn't.
you feel like you should have now that you're older? And if there's a young girl watching this or someone that's watching this that is like, hey, I'm also being abused at home, like, you know what I mean? Like you should have. Like
Yeah.
me personally,
No,
I feel like you
100%. I
should
think
have.
100%. I feel like obviously you think about the person that's abusing you and like the repercussions that are going to happen to them and your family if they get split apart. You think about that in that moment, but at the moment, like, you should really think about yourself, and in that moment you should be selfish and think about what you want, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and tell someone, ask for help, look for help. That's what I would say, cuz
Yeah.
I mean, obviously my story has ended great, you know?
Right.
It's still going, but in this moment it's great. So it it worked out in my favor, but I could have still been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Still there, and probably gotten more abused and not have the life that I have now, or even a worse downfall. So I would say, yeah, in that moment, do ask for help. Go seek that help. Tell someone, you know, like in any abusive relationship, I would.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the times, like we try to protect our parents, right?
Yeah.
Like as you're growing up myself, right? Like if my mom left me alone at home, hey, if somebody comes, don't open the
Yeah.
door, little things like that, right? And we try to protect our parents. Like sometimes maybe they hit us by accident, hey, don't tell them it was me, whatever the case is. And we love our parents, so we try to protect them. But there is like, I'm not saying that's okay, but there is a line that shouldn't be crossed, right? Like it's just that the longer you stay there, things are not going to change. At least that's from my experience. Like it's not going to change. Like you might think my parents are going to change or my dad's going to change. Like yeah, he might get older and so on, but it's not going to change. People are who they are, and some people, whether it's because that's how they grew up and it's like a generational curse that went from one parent to another, we hope that they do change, and hopefully they do change, but a lot of the times I don't expect them to change. Like I personally feel like you have to seek the help.
Yeah, I think if you're at your wits' end and yeah, we're trying to protect our parents, but at the same time, like, when are they going to learn how to change?
Right. And I don't think they
By
will.
actions, by
Right.
something happening, by
Yeah.
going to therapy. They're forced to go to therapy. Like, if that might have happened,
Parenting classes
yeah,
and
maybe
shit.
my dad would have changed and he would have became a better person. You know what I mean? So yeah,
To
like,
some degree, you guys
yeah,
almost protected him from getting that help,
of
because
course.
had a cop taken him in,
Mm-hmm.
he probably would have. Hey, this is not the way to do it here in the United
Exactly.
States.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I would say that. But yeah, I mean, that concludes the episode. We can talk more about, like, what did we say last time about the next episode we could leave?
We could the next episode we could go into, we'll talk about that day, how that day
Oh,
went,
that
you
day
know,
where I actually get
when
to
she decided
California.
when she decided to leave her household and got in a plane and moved over here, and we could
Yes.
talk about our early years, and
Yes.
that'll be on the next episode. But to conclude this episode, it's just seek the help, right, all in all, seek the help. Parents, if you're watching this and you know you are one of those abusive parents that you know we're talking about, like really reflect on your actions. Like you're hearing it from someone that obviously came from an abusive household and how it tore her apart, semi me, how it tore me apart, or so on. And it's like seek the help yourself, go to parenting classes. Like really being abusive to your children is really not the way. And maybe it, to your degree, it's not your fault. Maybe this is how you were raised and this is all you know. But think about your child, think about your children, think about what how you're messing that child up, and how it passed from your parents to you, you're passing it to him. Break that curse, man, break that curse, because
Be
you
the
are.
healer that you should be for your children, or even before you have children. Heal yourself, because I feel like I had to heal myself when I had kids too, so I
Yeah.
didn't pass that down. So be the healer.
You could change. Honestly, you could change if you tried to change and you look for help. And if you have, and I'm gonna end it with this: if you were a parent, maybe not abusive or abusive, and you have um, a barrier between you and your children, and you guys don't talk for whatever reason, maybe is your turn to pick up that phone, go look for that child that you have a broken relationship with for whatever reason. It might have, you were probably the reason why they don't look for you, and try to establish and rekindle that relationship. You know what I
Amen.
mean?
I always feel like in the parent and child's relationship, it always seems like the child has to put in the work
Right.
for their parents.
And it
And I
shouldn't
don't
be
feel
that way.
like that way. I feel like if you're a parent, you should reach out to your kids too. You should be want to like come around and put in the effort for the relationship. A relationship is two-way street, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, to conclude that, definitely
Man, well,
definitely
thank you
that.
so much for sharing your story. I hope if it does air, that your family doesn't get mad for as much
Oh.
as you shared. I love you. You're an amazing person, an amazing wife.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that that happened to you, and and thankfully you're not in that situation anymore. And I was able to provide some sort of comfort and some change to your life, and gave you two beautiful children.
Shut
um,
up.
you went through the rain, and now we can sit here and say, obviously, our life is not perfect, but now we have a little bit of sunshine, in your life. Two beautiful
Definitely.
kids, like I was saying, and I love you so, so, so
Love you, baby.
very much. And with that being said, don't get married with Cisco and Kina. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe to
Bye,
our
you
channel.
guys.
Make sure you leave a comment.